There's a level of insanity when it comes to the focus of your dreams. They'll say you're crazy until they clap hands on how did you do it. In my home, art was seen. So that was my norm. The funny thing is that when I come out in the world, I'm the not normal one. The world is asking me, how are you yourself? And I'm like, I wake up and I breathe. And if you're the black sheep, what they don't tell you is that you're the one who is necessary for change to exist. And this is not a theory. I am the black sheep who's flourishing.
Sebenza, 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 sebenza kanzima.
The theme for today is authenticity and around bravery, around how to craft your own unique creative journey by digging deep within yourself and understanding who you are, what actually makes, what makes Moonchild Sanelly. What are those pinnacle moments in your life that you can kind of remember and recognize that said, this is what made me?
I think one of the first ones that always comes up is, so my mom couldn't afford private school and they kicked me out of the black school because I spoke too much English. They said I need to go to an English school because I spoke a lot, yeah. So I started at 4. When I went to that school, there was a lot of Muslims. And so without noticing, as a kid, like you'll be influenced subliminally. And so I remember my mom seeing me wear like a long sweater and the sun was shining. And she's just like, hey, absolutely not. I took you there for English. You're not Muslim. Here's a vest. Here are some shots on that body and just focus on the English. And that stands out, I remember it. I remember being scolded for being seen walking behind a group of friends instead of in the same line or leading. And she'd always say, never follow. Be in the same line heading for leadership or be followed. And it never made sense because I'd be scolded for everything else, like the lights coming on before I'm home. But that one was the biggest scolding I'd get, and I didn't get it. So I feel like I just always had this rebellious attitude in general. And in my home, art was seen. I wasn't told that art was a hobby. I guess also because I was put in front of the camera. I started performing at a very young age. So that was my norm, And the funny thing is that when I come out in the world, I'm the not normal one. The world is asking me, how are you yourself? And I'm like, I wake up and I breathe. I'm myself. I never used to understand that question, but over time I got to understand that obviously I come then from creative privilege, where I've never had the problems of having to rebel against my family to succeed. So yeah, it's the world that made me see that people aren't themselves. And that was very tricky to understand. How are you not yourself? How?
Going into that yourself, so you're saying your mother is someone who kind of put in this thing in you to say, you are enough as you are and never also hide your body. Because these are all things that we see in your art form now where you are wild. And I don't know what we classify as corrupt because corrupt.
No, I'm a liberator.
Yeah, you're a liberator. You are a liberator.
Because the thing about it is when you own yourself, you are the narrator of your story and people play characters in your story and you don't have room to blame anyone, but it starts with little things like owning yourself, owning your body, knowing that your voice matters.
Let's then kind of fast forward a little bit into your creative career and where Moonchild Sanelly was honed. Let's talk about Moonchild's first kind of creative expression.
Okay, so my first creative expressions as Moonchild was in Durban. So first of all, I didn't necessarily like poetry in class. Because it was just it has to be like this, But I always flourished in creative writing because there weren't parameters. So whatever I wrote, I didn't consider it poetry. And I remember when I was in fashion school, I used to go to Damlin and I got invited to the poetry circles. I'd go there and the women weren't the women I grew up with. So all of them. I don't know if it was a trend or what, but all the women were vulnerable and violated and I didn't know that woman. I couldn't recognize them. And I remember saying, I'm not that woman, babe. That was the first time knowing that I'm not doing it this way. I'm doing it my way now that you call it poetry. But you couldn't reference anyone but just me because I didn't have anyone I was looking up to poetry wise. And from there, I was like, a lot of people are broke here. My art is not going to be treated like a hobby. I need to be rich from my art. And so I moved into the hip hop space naturally. But I was surrounded by the deep hip hop. Now, that one is the one that up the system, but you're 35 at your mother's house. I can't even keep it that, I'm just like, but it doesn't make sense to me. You know so much, but you don't know how to make it work for you. I don't think this is my space. So I moved from the hip hop space. Then I started being the jazz kid, opening up for your Busim Klongos, Matala Kunenes, Mamkrina, and all that jazz. I always had this thing of like idiots roll in numbers because I was always on my own. I was always doing my own thing. In poetry, I wasn't friends with the poets because I thought it was dumb summarizing people's books. Where's your story? So I wasn't part of the gang that was summarizing. That's why I became besties with Busiswa. We were the only ones who were telling original stories and we were ourselves. And, from there, going into the jazz, I started recording my project, 2007. It was called Time Traveler's Playlist. So it was everything I was exposed to. And I was like, nah, man, I want to have fun. Like, I want to do something when you hear it, you say, that's Moonchild. I don't want to hear, oh, it reminds me of, I didn't want that. So I literally stopped listening to everyone's music. Everyone I loved, I cut off listening to everyone's music in order to carve my signature. I'll tell you this for free. Like, there's a level of insanity when it comes to the focus of your dreams. They'll say you're crazy until they clap hands on how did you do it. Then I remember how Future Ghetto Funk started. I saw it was an animation in my head. It started with a song called Red Eye, which came out in my first album. Fortunately, I had a producer. His name is Catalyst. And he's like a nerd of everything, like math, science, music, like gaming and all that jazz. So I was lucky when I expressed the visuals I had in my head, wrote the story. He was able to match it with the beat. That's when Future Ghetto Funk was born. And it's like been 18 years of me pushing my genre, through strategy as well, because I've been conscious of tapping into different markets by using the power of collaboration. Like collaboration is your gag. You must stop once you have a box when it comes to your storytelling. Your storytelling needs to be so elite that it can fit in any genre because it's unboxed. It is storytelling. Never get comfortable. Or there's always something new to learn. There's always a world that needs to hear you. And your message can be in every language. And also bearing in mind, if you are leading a trend in your country, how do you continue making music when that trend is over? So never box your storytelling based on genre. Never be stuck based on celebration. Stay focused on the boxes you need to tick. In fact, the same way you go on your knees when you pray, the same way you write a letter to the universe. And you tick the boxes, everything is going to meet you as long as you know where your end goal is. You don't have to worry about the nitty-gritties.
I'm taking away a very clear and intentional kind of idea that you had for yourself. And it was crafted along the journey to say, I don't want to be like this. It's like you first understand what you don't want to be. And that from there, you're starting to create who you want to be. Slowly but surely. Red.
Yes.
Is super interesting because you have always branded yourself. And a lot of musicians also kind of default come out like who they are, right? And you've actually you have characters. So tell us about why the characters, because for me, it lends a lot to anime. It lends a lot of kind of animation, cartoons, creating these characters, these unique characters who are then able to, like Beyonce's got Sasha Fierce, but those are like very subliminal. It's like you are very like in your face. This is the character. So please tell us a little bit about that branding journey for you from before Red to Red, and why Red and Moonchild.
Okay, so to be honest, I'll tell you this. The red started when on holidays. I don't know if anybody remembers Fort Rosa. They were signed to TKZ or Zwei in TKZ. There was those three girls who were fabulous. They had red afros. So I remember them because they lived like they rented down my street and they just make the community shake when they'd move. Like they were like the buxoms, my first buxoms. Like a buxom is a big girl who up. Like she'll make you want to go eat to look that good. Like it was the first time seeing buxoms and they were redhead and I loved them shaking the community. Like I was still in high school and I was allowed. So I started with food coloring every holiday, like put food coloring, messed up the whole house. Then I had to find better ways. And I just be red until I went to varsity. And then in varsity, I started doing my red braids. And with regards to branding, I fell onto it by being myself. I just fell onto it by being myself. I remember all the comments I'd get, like, oh, satanic, gothic. People would even spit when I passed with the red hair. It wasn't as popular as now. Like, the red extensions didn't exist. I'd have to buy them the same way I buy the wool. I even entered some competition. I used to compete with bands and it was just me and a beatboxer. The level of insanity, let me tell you something. And I'd win every time. I'd win. I'd go to rap battles and say I rap, sing and win. Thing about it is, you have to hlanya. Like people can't exist. People that are going to just drag you down cannot exist. Like, I ran away from home at 19 and my options were to win, win or win. Have I gone home back? I'm traveling the world. And I don't hate them, but part of the journey is I needed to run away from home to not be comfortable, to stay chasing and going. Because the thing about it is there's also a particular thing that always happens. Like it doesn't matter what you're served with. It's what you take from it. And when you are focused, you will always find a silver lining in everything and anything. Example, my first manager stole my money. He raped me. And I was like, okay. Move to the next one. The second manager stole, first time making 100,000. They stole it. They took me to court. I won the case. Okay. I went to the next one. The next one, I almost died. I was in ICU, got 8 blood transfusions from malaria, woke up to zeros in the bank. They opened a sandwich bar. Now these are millions stolen. And I wake up and I do it again. So when it's your purpose, nothing can break you. Nothing can break you because you are going to do it anyway. You need to always remember you are the money. A lot of the times I found that, especially at home, managers will emotionally manipulate you into a position where you are even scared to ask how much am I being paid for each and every gig. And then they forget that they're not the celebrity. They are the co-visionary. And they need to make things happen. You don't make things happen for them. They'll take. But whenever they think they're breaking you, you must know you're only broken when you don't belong there. How many people have you seen go up and then they're telling you stories you can't understand? I'm broke. I never made money. How many? So also don't operate with envy. Remember, your dreams have no expiry date. Don't operate with envy because a part of the blockage is you being bitter. If it's not your time, it's not your time. For instance, Toya DeLazy, she got famous before me. How I knew her was her being a fan of my music. Back there, we started doing gigs and became friends. I was styling her when she got her commercial break. I was celebrating her, knowing my time will come because I know my power. Busiswa, she got to do her commercial stuff way before me. You don't even know of my existence until Midnight Staring. And that's my friend. And we could celebrate that same situation. So you can't operate bitterly. Just know your time is coming. Don't stop. Remember that having a mic is a privilege because for as long as you know it's a privilege, you're going to give your all. And every time I gave it my all for 18 years, every song I made, I knew there was going to be change, whether it was visible or not. Right now, everything I've laid is up. I'm on commercial MTV UK. I'm a pop star in the UK. I'm like an American that comes to South Africa and kills every African in Kwaito music. That's what I'm doing in the UK. In Xhosa, Nogal. In Xhosa, I'm up in their own territory. So everything is possible. And if you're the black sheep, what they don't tell you is that you're the one who is necessary for change to exist. Because they'll never tell you black sheep is actual power for change. And this is not a theory. I am the black sheep who's flourishing. then you get things like, oh my God, why are you so humble? Because it's a privilege for you to see me live my dreams. Me living my wildest dreams doesn't change how I am. Do you know how many collaborations I get that are priceless based on my personality outside of my work ethic? It's a whole package. It's a whole package. So nothing can break you, babies. You'll make it again. So you know the silver lining I took from everyone who stole? Every time they stole, they were letting me know it was 10% of what I'm going to make next. And trust me, I have. So no, don't be scared. Fear can't exist. You have to be insane. So go for it.
Calling out all content creators, from artists to podcasters to any creator who uses any form of audio. You can now upload your very own audio clip from a song to a content clip and promote your work using the MTN Call of Tunes platform. The cherry on top is you can use the Call of Tunes to make some moolah, cash, pesos by getting your fam, friends, and fans to use your Call of Tune, which will mean money in your pocket. So basically, every time someone listens to your Call of Tunes, likes it, they simply press any key from 1 to 9 to download it as their own, and that is a win for you too. You can submit your audio through AMP's very own distribution channel with MTN by sending it to the very email below. And of course, through Call of Tunes, you get access to the creative world of AMP Studios with access to our resources from recording studios to podcasting equipment to events, networking sessions, and all of it. Get as creative as you want with MTN Call of Tunes and AMP Studios.
Your story is scary at points, inspiring. A lot of kids go through something. Every human goes through something. And I just want to ask you, like, in those moments where you were being violated, in those moments where you had to make these very difficult decisions for your life because you knew where you were going, and that no matter what's happening to you, you're not going to allow these things to define you, and you're going to kind of own them to grow you. How do you do that?
I don't know. I think it's because I don't see myself doing anything else. So nothing's going to stop me. I feel like even that thing, like option B, I said my option A, B, and Z, I'm going to be wealthy from music and I'm going to shake the whole world and I'm going to do it as myself in Konglish. I feel like another crazy one. My uncle's sexually harassing me for me to run away from home. I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, and it was fear talking. I was like, I'd have to kill him. And then I was like, but I'm too cute for prison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name and shame him. I'm going to get the biggest magazine and name and shame him. And that was, but I kept going. I went. 2015, New York Times does a day in my life. They come to SA. And then I named and shamed him. And then I realized,
That was boring.
okay, that did nothing. But what I realized though was, no, I had to go through that in order to connect with my audience in the liberation better than an observer's point of view, because I've had a taste. So I connect in a deeper level, which somehow confirmed exactly what my entire stance was. It wasn't just now because of this. There were so many different occasions, but this one was the one that was like, no, okay, this is my purpose.
That is
Silver lining.
silver lining, and also it just basically means that every bad thing that you go through in life is your purpose. It is trauma, but the trauma
But
is
it doesn't hold you back from your purpose.
yeah, and that's
It
kind of
nudges
what
you
it defines
towards-
you and leads you to your true purpose, right? And I mean, I think when you then start to look at life like that, you kind of stop feeling sorry for yourself and make these moments that other people will look at and be like, how did you survive? And you turn them into such a powerful story. And I also resonate with the fact that you also recognize that you have to be the poster child. You have to really be authentically relatable.
Yes, this is how deep and dark the authenticity part comes in, because your entire life is the story. And I keep saying this. One of the things that from watching a lot of greats and seeing how they all died, and they all died from their diary. There's a lot of dark things where the music comes from, art and all that jazz. And then that diary is now connecting to everyone going through the same thing. Now everybody celebrates you, but you don't have time to heal you. And within that celebration, you overdose, you die from narcotics, you've got lonely times in your height, because you never went back to heal what brought you here, which was your diary to begin with. And that was a dark place. So I swore the moment I make any type of money, I'm going to see a therapist because I'm great and I'm not going to die like them. And well, I have. And I feel like with this album, for instance, it's called Full Moon. And it's because I've got the stories about the abortions as sacrifice. I've got the stories of, well, like quitting tequila. I've got a story where it's an apology letter from my father to me and my baby's fathers to them. And that also comes from a place of forgiveness. For me to be able to play. So I play the dad's characters. And the man I have in the song is the black man who takes accountability and doesn't emotionally manipulate you or has a family meeting to say, sorry, I was young and stupid. The man who actually takes accountability where you have a choice to forgive or not. The man who has the words to express their upbringing. Because for me to be able to empathize, to be able to play those roles, I have to understand the privileges that I have with even the options of being able to choose. Having therapy to heal the diary, because from here onwards, it's not just wounds. Wounds will exist whether you're in a relationship or whatnot. But I feel like it's also just a sense of, with all the accolades, I feel like that was just the foundation for my next. And in my next, I am at peace with everything it took, all the dark stories that I didn't have time to engage with. I've got the words to express them now because I'm going into a new place, and all that brought me here. So with Full Moon, I feel like you get to bump into the vulnerable parts of me, like the conversations. I've got one of the songs called Falling, and it's literally a mirror conversation. And in that song, it's literally like, I'm scared of falling, scared of losing. I know my family's looking. And with that, it doesn't exclude anyone who didn't run away from home. Basically, it's, if I'm supported by my family, I'm scared of falling, scared of losing, I won't disappoint them. If I'm not supported by my family, I know they're watching and I will disappoint them. So exactly, it's always how you look at it, and you need to always look at what moves you forward. And after that, you're unbreakable.
Learning from those that came before you is that I'm not the only one with trauma. Maybe this trauma is my magic, and that's what brings all this music out and brings out Moonchild as she is. But I must not overlook that I still need to heal and still process. So there's a balancing act between the healing also comes in the creation, I'm assuming. And it's also that kind of that thing of, people don't overtly show what they're going through. When you're walking, when you meet someone, I'll be like, Moonchild had a perfect life. She's so much fun. Like, she has no down days. She just like is always smiling and bubbly, and just kind of hearing this side of you and understanding the work that it takes to get this person in front of the screen, the one that we know and love so much, to say there's a lot of intention that you've put into this thing,
How do you package yourself to be able to go out internationally without being stuck in this country?
So with a lot of things for me, I fell into them by just naturally just being myself. I've been rejected for the same hair for years. And it's just me and not giving up in just me being myself. So I feel like it was me seeing myself as a global artist based on my creativity. The rest of it, I literally fell into it. I learned about branding as when I was like this. On some, I can actually coin this. I can do that. So I feel the best way is always to do collaborations, collaborate, and capitalize on your social media platforms. Capitalize on it. Capitalize on that TikTok. Capitalize on, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's how you see yourself Another trick, your accent is it's a whole trick on its own. Before they even hear your music, being able to be placed where you're from. Do you know the accent they laugh at here? Where it doesn't seem educated and all that jazz? That is money there. So it comes as you being yourself, Like maybe I can even go a little like, yo, I just want water. And then they just give me, it's a bigger check. So for instance, this is something that, I naturally was just doing myself, but I clocked it when I saw the Antwoord as well. Because I've songwritten for them and toured Scandinavia. And with the Antwoord, the accent is thicker outside. It's a currency. What is laughed at here is treasure outside. Africanism is treasure. It doesn't say you're going to sing about the mountains and the valleys. Your existence as yourself, the fact that you are making people shake ass globally as a South African artist, where they're already asking you questions, how do they accept you? And I'm like, they don't, but I make them shake. I'm not looking for acceptance, but you will be touched by my art.
I just want to add a little bit into that, just to contextualize also that authenticity
literally
is what will make you work overseas. There are 1 million people. The music industry overseas is like 10,000 times bigger than our industry. So if you are trying to be a replica of an American artist, a British artist, they're never going to. They want an artist who is who they are. Like, I must be able to see where you're from, like she's saying, your accent. You become more African when you are overseas. Like, you
appreciate it even more as well. Like, oh snap, oh shit, I'm getting paid for how I talk. Like, oh my God, how she rolls her R's. I'm just saying rubbish. It's really not a thing. Like, but everything is something. Everything you are is something.
You should check out Toya DeLazy, what she's doing right now also in the UK, because I know she moved to the UK, but she's doing like this like grunge dance music, but she's very much bringing in her authentic Zulu self. And she's so different to the artist that she was when she was in South Africa. And it's such a beauty to see. But if you understand who she was and who she is now, I think that'll answer your question really well also.
So before her commercial success, this girl you're seeing now existed before they signed her. But because she was signed to a major, then they had to package it for it to be palatable enough. And then she left because she couldn't redo herself because she was growing as an artist, but she wasn't allowed to. That's why she left the country. And she's doing her as herself now in the UK.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Moonchild. You know what? I was sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I have to stand and ask a question. This person is so confident. You know what? And you are so assertive. Very much so. I think most of us would really love to be as assertive and as confident as you are. So today I can feel, can you hear me, Nasisi? Even when I'm speaking today, at least it's like the confidence is back because of you. While I'm sitting there, I'm like, I gotta be, thank you very much for being this assertive and confident, eh? I've learned one or two things. And I think you've covered almost everything that a person needs to ask now. But I've heard you mentioning something about you were in the public school and they said like you speaking English like too much. So I want to know, where did you learn that English before you can even go to English schools?
No, I was a forward kid. I started grade 1 at 4 years old. Like, I was a forward kid. So I was a smart kid. I'm a nerd. You just wouldn't tell because I'm ass shaking. But like, I'm pretty much of a nerd. That's why a lot of my moves are pretty strategic, but you'll never know because I never say, hi, I got a big brain. No, I have fun. So come, hack for confidence. God, you only have one life. You have to own this. Thank you. The only downfall they never tell you about confident bitches is that you stay single forever because boys want to dilute and I don't come through as juice. So it's a shit,
Next question.
Hi guys, I'm Gelosi. I'm a fellow musician. So I came here today because I just love you and I just love how you're authentically yourself. And I thought I had a question, but as you kept on speaking today, you are everything I wish to be. You are so confident, you're vibrant, you show off self, and you are unique. I wish to be like you one day. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to do an exercise. So, can everybody try lift their arm? Try lift your arm. Try lift your, both if you can. Try lift your arm. Try lift your arm as high as possible. So, y'all are all up. Do you know why? Think of your life as lifting your arm. You see, when I say try lift your arm, you don't try, you just do it. Treat your life like your arm. Just do it. The moment you say, I'm going to try, you already have created a bed for disappointment to rest on. But when you do, you only take lessons. So try lift your arm. Treat your life like your attempt to lift your arm. You don't try. You do it or you don't.
Sebenza, sebenza, sebenza.